What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Unplugged live stream. Of course, we got a special guest today, James from Signature Solar and EG4, and a whole lot of other companies that we're going to talk about. And of course, we got Eric and Adam here as always. And we got a special giveaway. We're giving away a 12K mini split. And so I know a lot of you guys are interested in that. As always, people like free stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. Hey, but in the chat, I got that pinned up at the top. You click that link and you can go and register to get into the drawing. And at 8:45, we're gonna try to go ahead and close that out. And then after that, we'll do the drawing and go ahead and see who's getting a free mini split today from, of course, James, our special guest. Let me go ahead and just introduce him for anybody that doesn't know him. He's James Showalter from EG4 and Signature Solar, and I think also Solar 76. He probably has other businesses that I don't know about, but he's the reason that a lot of us were able to get into solar for such a good price. You know, he's trying to make solar affordable for everybody. And hey, I definitely appreciate it because my family is a lot better off and a lot more self-reliant because of him and the things he did to starting out a small business, and it's just grown over the years and it's grown pretty fast. And hey, of course, we love it. We talk about them all the time already. But hey, James, welcome to the stream. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, thanks
not a
for joining
problem.
us. Yeah.
And of course, we're going to have a lot of questions. So anybody got a question, you put QQQ in the chat and your question, and then we'll be able to maybe pull that up after we throw a couple of questions at him as well. So let's go ahead and start off by talking about the thing that I guess we kind of brought you in here for is to talk about the tariffs and bringing manufacturing maybe back to the U.S. and what kind of things you're doing to help us with that.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, that's a big topic, right? It's May 8th, and I think we're like a little over a month past when all these new tariffs came out,
Hmm.
and that's something that I think everyone still has to process, right? Normally, factories are multi-year development plans, so there were subsidies in place that predated this whole situation with the 45X part of the Green New Deal, the IRA. And so a lot of manufacturing was coming to the US anyways to try to capture those subsidies. We kind of were looking at this early last year and just seeing that picture and then also seeing the strong polling numbers that we saw in the Trump campaign. And we were like, look, this is kind of a no brainer either way, like whatever way that it goes. And so we doubled down and we picked up a 300,000 square foot factory, and we were prepared to make our inverters right about the time that these tariffs started kicking in. So it's not a completely foolproof approach, but we are able to deliver. That's the Solar 76 company you guys are showing there. Yeah, we are able to deliver the inverters from that location for the 2024 prices, and that's the exciting part of that.
Mm.
And then we just dive it in, and I think we have a battery production solution that we're not ready to announce or show information on, but we're working on that as well. Where the idea is you pay minimal tariffs on components that are coming in from other places instead of finished goods, and that plugs into whatever continuous directions we have from the new administration. It's frankly there isn't a long-term energy policy a month into this that lets us know exactly what we're going to be dealing with 2 years from now or 3 years from now, and it's a much deeper and more complex topic that we're seeing. Uh, in terms of the conversations of what do we reshore, and what are we interested in reshoring as a country? So uh, we're new to it. I think we've protected the inverters. We've been able to do minimal changes to our battery pricing, um, and I think ultimately, our goal is to just kind of restore 2024 with the manufacturing processes we have, and we have the ability to bring in more heavy manufacturing for down into the component level part quickly. But right now, I think what everybody in the industry is looking for is just some signals from this administration long term as to China and the other countries around it. What are those manufacturing tariff positions going to be, and what is there going to be to ensure that in that energy products are made in the U.S. So we're doing this here because we want to be able to always deliver the product. We think an American-made product is still a great return on investment compared to buying a power bill. So this is kind of the no-brainer way to do it, and we know there'll always be a demand for an American-made product, whether it's government contract, et cetera. So we don't feel it's a big risk.
Okay, and one of the questions I guess I have, and maybe a lot of people, is I'm great that we're trying to bring back manufacturing to the U.S., but is that all the components? I mean, raw materials in the United States, we all know over the years we've just basically stopped getting raw
Yeah.
materials. So, are we getting the raw materials from the same place, or are you getting it from somewhere else, or is it still just a work in progress?
Yeah, that's more of a long term answer and a short term answer. Short term, you're probably getting 60% of your raw materials from the same place, 70%. Long term, you do have a legitimate opportunity to get American made lithium cells. There's a lot of production there. I think just had a press release that we had an allocation for about a billion dollars of LG cells that'll be made in Michigan that we
Oh,
got
cool.
allocated. So
Very cool.
there's a next generation battery. It's already been in the works for the past 6 months with them, with cells made in Michigan, and probably a longer warranty. It's backed by LG. So we're very, very excited about that partnership. So it's again going to come down to, that's great. I can also make that battery with the exact same cell out of Poland, and I can make that battery with the exact same cell out of China. So, is there going to be enough of an indication or a directional guidance from this administration? Um, and that's going to pan out. Right now, the Green New Deal is actually going to be a huge part of deciding tariffs and reshoring and stuff like that. And then that's all up on the chopping block in the next 2 months.
Hmm.
Okay, so Adam, that'll
Okay.
be up in your neck of the woods up there. That new
Yeah, I'll have to
lithium.
try to see if I can organize something up there. Huh?
Oh, and before
Yeah.
I just keep jumping into my questions, Eric and Adam, if y'all have a question you want to throw at him, hey, you can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm curious about is, we have the administration, the current administration, who is, kind of putting this chokehold, so to speak, right, on bringing solar production equipment from China, but they're also a Republican-based administration, which has typically been not so favorable for the subsidies on, well, many things, but in particular solar stuff. And so, like, just you're mentioning the Green New Deals on the chopping block, or it's coming up in the next couple of months. Um, is there? I guess you guys and the rest of us were probably hoping that we could see, some additional tax cuts or whatever it is, from this administration for building. It's like, if we're not going to do green energy from China, can we do it in America? And so, are there any indications that's coming, or is it just wishful thinking?
I think the only indications are that we have a food fight on the way. And I'm excited for the food fight. Actually, I'm not really put off by it, but there's a lot of realignment that's going to have to happen. Um, you know, it's really hard to separate. What I'd say in the Green New Deal, the unfortunate part about it is about for every dollar that is facilitated for the residential tax credit, which is 30% on your systems, they took $20 for corporate green interest in solar farms, TPOs, public hardware companies that backed the previous president. And so it really is, it has become a crud muffin of about $1 trillion size that was, always underestimated on the budget side. And now it's way over budget and people need money to pass the bill. So I would kind of say that there's a concern that residential solar is becoming the human shield for a lot of massive overpaid corporate interests that got huge windfalls in the IRA that's driving out of a budget. And I think that's one big concern I have with the residential tax credit, which I believe actually can be defended on a free market basis, not as a subsidy, but as a tax correction. I'd love to get into that at some point. Um, I believe it actually has a place on the right. But then when you talk about energy policy, what I would say is that solar has a much stronger suit on the China question than people think. We're so focused on the fact this comes from China, we're ignoring the fact that uh, nuclear, natural gas, coal, if you want to build any one of those plants, you're going to import the parts from China because they're the only country in the world that has deployed enough energy where the cost of electricity is going down in their society. In the US, we've had a bureaucracy in the utilities that have driven the cost up past inflation, which is part of what activated nerds like us to all get our hands dirty and go make our own power, right? We've had it with them. And what I would say is it's going to be hard for any one lobby to be anti-China, to try to go anti-renewable and therefore go anti-China without being anti-nuke, anti-natural gas, anti-clean coal, right? Clean coal, the most latest coal-fired plant is in Wuxi, China. It's not in not in Pittsburgh, Texas, right? And so
Yeah.
there's a very different reframing that's going to happen on the manufacturing policy aspect of what is the U.S. deem valuable. Look, if we don't particularly subsidize energy, I think that there are going to be winners and losers in this trade war. China may not lose. It may not lose in the end, right? They could lose for a while, and they're really losing now. But maybe they end up with a big, beautiful deal. I don't know, right? But whoever is a winner in the trade deal, the Chinese will go there if they aren't already there, and they will develop a homegrown product for cheaper and ship it straight to the U.S. Or we're going to see something that incentivizes American production and in one way or the other, whether it's tax rates, um, tariff rates, etc., just general tariff rates on energy, that's going to make it worthwhile to make the stuff here. But you can't have a product that costs, like right now, a solar panel in the United States costs 300% more, 300% up, so 200% more of the cost of a solar panel in China. We've got to narrow that gap down. I don't care what robots we got to bring in, but we got to get to a point where it's like only 50% more, and we've got 16 cent factory prices coming out, and you're into retail for under 24 cents.
All right, yeah, and we want to welcome everybody to the stream. We've kind of ignored the audience for a minute here. We got 103 people on the stream right now, so we want to go ahead and say, hey, welcome to the live stream. If you got a question, put QQQ in the comments, in the chat. I'll be able to search for it and pull it up. And right now, that's what we're going to do. We're going to pull up our first question of the night. It's from James, another James. Wonder what your thoughts are about hardening your equipment with EMP protection. I think they're probably talking about the Flex Ball stuff.
So it was built to the exact same standards as the 18 kPV. That test is undergoing right now because we have to update it. We have to update the test anyway. We don't want to just round that up. We've seen that happen with other inverter manufacturers where there's like a missing certification for one of their models. We don't care. We're going to pay to get through the lab, so we're going through the lab right now. But I think the answer is that I'm 99% sure that it is EMP hardened, and we will have a test result to prove it very quickly.
And it looks like we just got a super chat, and we want to go ahead and thank Chuck. Let's go ahead and add that to the broadcast. Hey, thanks, Chuck. We always appreciate a super chat. And it says SolarCon 2026 at Signature Solar parking lot. Oh, man.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, hey, Signature Solar's grown so big, they need to start having a yearly event. That'd be awesome. I'd definitely go.
We should. We should probably do something, Independence Con, something like that. We'll see about it.
Love it.
There you go.
Yes.
Adam, you have any questions before I pull up another one?
Yeah, I just had one that came to mind that should be a pretty simple one, but I would imagine it's probably on a lot of folks' minds. So with the Solar 76 factory starting to assemble different products, what all at the moment do you have actually being assembled there?
Yeah, so right now it's just the FlexBoss 18, FlexBoss 21, and the 12,000 XP. And if you notice, those are the only items that did not have any price updates at all. We are still selling at 2024 prices. So between the subsidy, the reduced tariffs on the parts instead of the complete goods, we're able to deliver product at 2024 prices.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, while we've got a lull real quick, I do want to remind everyone, there's a link in the description. And if you want to enter to win this generous mini split from James, and it's awesome. Guys, it is the easiest barrier to entry for solar enthusiasts, from my opinion. James, I've always said, like, if you want to start with solar, a hybrid mini split is like, that's the way to go. I mean, just get your feet wet, start cooling and heating your house from the sun. It's incredible. Like, such a cool product. I've got the 24K and the 9K right here. But if you want to do the 12K, if you want to enter to win, right now we've got 617 contestants. So make sure that you check out the link, click it. Takes like 5 seconds. You'll be done before I'm even done rambling here. And then we're going to give that away at, let's see, 7:45 my time, Central, 8:45 Eastern. James is going to have to run right at the top of the hour because he's got a flight to catch. So,
Yeah.
if you can't hear,
he's in an airport for anybody that doesn't know. Anybody that can't tell.
Sorry, guys.
And we also have that
Hey,
link
no
at the
problem.
top of the chat. So it's pinned to the top of the chat. You just go hit that link. And then, of course, if you want to support me, Eric, or Adam, as always, we'll go ahead and share that. We have a website, unplugged.solar, and you go on there, and it has all our affiliate links and all our channels you can go subscribe to, or whatever information you need, all the live streams. So go check that out. It's still a work in progress, but we got most of the stuff on there.
Yeah, we'll get it on there.
Hey,
I know my
I
wife
want to
was
go ahead and
asking
jump
about
into
the
some
link.
non-tariff related stuff real quick. James, what are you running at your house? That's what I want to know.
Well, I just bought a new house.
Okay.
And I've got a Flex Boss 21 and a Grid Boss and a Boss Box and a solar carport going in the backyard. And I won't put the batteries on the side of the house. I'll put them by the carport. That's on the way in. I have to confess, the Signature guys are unloading a bunch of really cost-effective LG Prime 16s. And so I got 2 of those batteries and signed up for a free night's plan, 32 kilowatt hours of storage. And I cut my bill 75%. So I know those things won't last forever, so it's a formality. So I'm putting the EG4 system on the side of the house because I got to. But I was also about to do a review on that and how much it's affecting my power bill. I've got 2 EVs and a 2,000 square foot house, so that's been a lot of fun too. So I think I'll have a backup to a backup.
Oh yeah,
That's
I just
cool,
got my
cool.
second EV too, and it's awesome. I just got a Tesla Model 3 for anybody that doesn't know. I'll be putting out some videos on that thing and telling you why DIY solar and EVs, they go together. So, I can power my house, and I got 10 kids, and, if I can do it, anybody can do it. You just get started and keep building it. Hey, you can make it happen.
That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
Wow.
Let's see here. Of course, we got a couple more questions here. Let me see. And so with the building y'all got for the domestic production and all that, do you see that, like you said, you're growing into batteries and everything, but do you see that actually going into just even new products completely different than what you have currently, or just the same things, inverters, batteries, standard stuff?
Yeah.
Or like mini splits or something like that, like something totally different.
Again, in terms of that, I think we will probably see the batteries get reshored in Q3, Q4. So that process has already been in place. Obviously, with our partnership with LG, that's very apparent now. But at the same time, the right place to bring in heat pumps, the right country to do appliances in the U.S. Are we really going to reward them being manufactured here or not? Right now, we're all sitting on the fence, waiting for, things to clear up. Hopefully, in the next 90 days, as to what the world is going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
All right, looks like we got another question. We got Donald. Is there any chance of having EG4 redesigned to all-weather 14.3 kilowatt-hour battery with a display that is on the front cover? I have this battery in a large cabinet and cannot see the display.
Yeah, probably some bad news. I think we're probably just going to move away from the display entirely. We'll have a Bluetooth chip, and we'll have the comms through our inverter app as well, where you have full monitoring on the battery. But I'm not sure if we're really going to be. I think we're going to move away from displays because of the lifespan on the displays are going to be, warranty issues, especially on an IP65 unit. So we want to take the warranty period past 10 years, and I think the display's got to go to do that, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, displays, especially if they're getting sun and all that, I've definitely seen stuff over the years that goes bad. So,
I mean,
got another
perfect
question.
example. Yeah,
Go ahead.
the red box.
Yep.
Red box, yeah.
Yep.
That is right. It says, James, do you see EG4 going I can't even talk public?
Yeah, public. Honestly, I kind of started as a DIYer like everybody else here. Just back when I was 14. I want to see energy generation go mainstream. I want to see DIY solar go mainstream, and we'll do whatever it takes on the company side to get it there. We're a privately held company now. Um, Actually, I haven't even had an investment round, so I'm well into the 90% ownership. But as we grow and we've had incredible growth, I think um, we'll probably continue we'll probably do some rounds or double down on that to just fund growth. But I don't see why we need to go public. But if I had a button where it would help do it yourself solar, and I had to go public to do it, I'd press that button really fast.
Hmm.
So probably not a conversation for another year or so, and then see if that's really the right thing because of a lot of times companies lose their character when they go public. So um, I'm having a blast. I don't need the money. It's really just a matter of the jobs we can create and how can we further independent generation. That's kind of the way I look at it. So we wouldn't do it for money. We do it if we really thought we could expand the idea.
Yeah. And it's like we got a question that I've seen quite a few times, and this is people, what is the low temperature rating on a heat pump? It gets to -40 in Minnesota. A lot of people in the north want a heat pump that works in super cold temperatures. I don't know if that's even possible, but do you know anything about maybe something like that coming
Yeah.
to the market?
Yeah, I think we where we're at right now is -20. I think that can be improved, but when you're stretching the edge of the range, maybe there's probably a little bit of exaggeration going on. So I think we want to make sure we can, well, if we want to market to that, there are extreme cold solutions coming out, so we know we can do that. We haven't optimized ours beyond -20, which means you'll probably be good for 95% of the year, even if you're in a -40 worst case scenario zone. But if you want a total do all in that environment, we're not there yet. I think most people in those environments though learn to have backup heating, because if you can't afford to not be to not be above freezing.
Right.
Yeah, if you're in temperatures like that, you better have a backup. I mean, I have backups, and I'm here in
It slow
southeastern
your
North
day down.
That's
Carolina.
correct. I mean,
So,
if it
yeah.
gets below, 45 here, we gotta start doing something.
oh man. So Adam,
Yeah, it's just
what kind of heat sources do you have? You're in cold weather compared to us, at least.
So I have a propane furnace that I can use, but propane is expensive, and so we put out an outdoor wood boiler
That's
in
cool.
probably 7 years ago, and so we burn wood, and then that pumps warm hot water into the house, which then circulates through our forced air blower, and then it heats the house, and we can use that for our domestic hot water as well. So unlimited hot water in the winter. Always nice for those long showers.
Here's a good question. When EV bidirectional charging is available, will it be compatible with the Grid Boss?
We're already working on it. Just in the name of science, I traded in
Sweet.
my F-150 for a Cybertruck because it was the first bidirectional Tesla.
Oh, yeah.
And we did buy the package, the power share package, and I'm hooking into my Grid Boss, and I'm gonna test it on my house.
Oh yeah.
But
We appreciate that.
I think we've already got a solution that takes most of these big EVs that have 240-volt output, especially the electric trucks. We do it. We can use them as a generator in a generator boost, and that's one way to power share. But true bidirectional, I think, we need to make sure that car companies keep standards open, and a lot of them are very finicky about people like us playing around with their stuff. So we are building a DC-DC solution that will work with those systems and work with I think the General Motors and the Tesla stuff, but it takes a little time.
Oh yeah. Looks like we got 126 people on the stream right now. As always, we thank you for being here
Nice.
and joining us. You guys are always helping us out when we have questions. You're able to tell us an answer in the chat, something we don't know, and then sometimes we can even help you guys out, and we definitely appreciate it. If you're here for the giveaway, which, hey, if you're here, you should be in the giveaway. You need to go ahead and register. At the top of the chat, I have a pinned comment. You just hit the link and you go in there and register. And somebody at the end of the stream is going to get a free 12K hybrid mini split. You're definitely not going to want to miss it. If you're here, go ahead and sign up. And if you have any questions, make sure you put QQQ. Then I'll be able to search for it and bring them up. So if you have a question for James or Eric or Adam or even myself, hey, let us know in the chat. Let me look up my next question here. This is one that I've asked quite a few times to Peyton, my affiliate rep. What about a multi-zone DIY heat pump from EG4?
Yeah, one is in the works. We were trying to also work. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, we will go multi-zone this year. There's just
Nice.
honestly, I think the trade war is an interesting new set of questions to ask around it. But I think multi-zone will be something we're doing, and then possibly something even more exciting.
Ooh. All right.
Oh, replacing a whole house normal unit, I guess, or something with an inverter unit.
Oh, I never said any of that.
I'm just hoping. That'd be awesome.
Nice.
Sweet.
Here's another good question. Is EG4 planning any mobile applications? So, like, just for...
For right now, we're just focused on homeowner power independence and also some business products we're coming out with, stationary stuff. Mobile market's a lot of fun, wonderful people there. I think we probably are just not we don't feel as needed as we feel like there's a need in the homeowner space.
All right. Adam, Eric, I don't want to keep asking stuff. You guys go ahead and ask something if you got it, and I'm going to keep looking for some questions.
Yeah, no, I think we need to go into a lightning round where, because I know there's 100 different questions in there with QQQ, but James, this one, not to put you on the spot here. Hopefully I don't get in trouble. I was looking around at the Signature Solar facility, and I didn't see solar panels on the roof. So what's going on with that?
Well, we have the place under contract for install with solar panels, and it will trial out our new commercial battery solution that we're going to release.
Ooh,
so
commercial.
Cool.
All right.
It will get
nice
at some point this year, probably in the next few months, but these are big commercial jobs. You will see a bunch of solar carports and with EV chargers on them. And so if you do change to EV, you can kind of level 2 all of them. And we'll also have some crazy cool battery banks.
That's awesome. So cool.
That's
all right, cool. I'm glad I asked.
On the roof. It would have already had PV, except for the fact that the roof couldn't handle it. Or I couldn't get somebody to sign off on it for some reason. So,
gotcha. Because I remember going back, like when I first started with you guys, y'all were at the old JB Weld facility, and I remember seeing panels all over that one.
and so that was the first thing I did.
Yeah, no doubt. So I was just curious. I was like, wait a second. All right, something's missing here. But that makes sense, and it's a legitimate excuse. So I like it. Yep.
So I know you were saying earlier you kind of got started in the solar thing when you were about 14 years old. When did you get into, I guess, more seriously as a business? What age?
Yeah, so I when I was 19, I started installing back in 2015. Started installing. I was one of the youngest installers in the state of Texas, and I installed from 2015 until about 2019. And then I gave the install company to my brother, and I took all the profits I had made and started Signature. So that's kind of the way it worked out. My brother still runs it. He's the one that's supposed to be doing the install over at Signature. If he'd just get me on his schedule, okay? And then the idea with Signature was, hey, when I'm selling these installs, you know how installers are. They tend to, not like to explain what the cake's made of. And so I was like, hey, I want to build a parts store that makes the cost of this stuff very transparent. So more and more people can, number one, be aware of the margin that you can make in this business, so we get more competitive electricians involved, and also more do-it-yourselfers realize the kind of reward that there is if they just buy the parts. Because I think that if you can rebuild your truck, I think if you can, build an airplane from a kit, or if you can, build an addition onto your house, you can install a solar system. Like it's not
Or a big
not
Lego
rocket
set.
science.
I absolutely
Yeah.
agree
So
with you, and I would like to see something federally that said, hey, if I want to do DIY solar on my own house or do it for somebody else
yeah,
that doesn't mind me doing it or helping them out, I should be able to do it. In North Carolina, you have to be a licensed electrician to install solar. They know nothing about solar, so why are we letting
right.
them do it? That doesn't even make sense to me. I'm like, come on. I mean, that don't even make any sense. But
The
Well,
28th Amendment. Yes, the right for the people to build out their solar farm as they please on their own property.
I think we
Let's
get
work on it.
3/4 of states to vote on that.
oh yeah,
No, I think that's part of what's going to be the future horizon for solar will be deregulation.
yeah,
Like Texas, we're trying to push a bill through that. Actually, a conservative group was involved in the 2-day permit limit from these HOAs and I'm sorry, AHJs, authorities uh, having jurisdiction. Right. At the end of the day, we don't want the city to take 2 months to give you a permit, and
Mm-hmm.
that's so. There will be a kind of a right to generate fight that'll be more focused on actually the old red meat conservative points of deregulation, free markets, fair taxation.
yeah. So was that Texas bill 4725? I think.
4725 was the other bill that we worked on. I actually wrote that bill, and that
Okay.
was focused on
Eliminate sales
sales
tax.
tax.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, it's a fairness bill because of businesses. I'm sorry, power generation companies in Texas and AI data centers don't pay sales tax on
Yep.
energy generation, and homeowners and businesses do, even though we don't charge sales tax in the state of Texas on residential energy. So it's the most backward system we've stumbled into. But I think it's really just
Yeah.
a needed update for fairness. That just the code was written before the kind of stuff that we're playing around with was possible. So it's good to have a little patience there. I think we kind of set it as a place marker for next session, but we think we can get 90% of Texans behind it.
Yep. And we got a question from George here. It says, are EG4 products field serviceable for customers outside the USA?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I think um, it depends on if you're talking about an inverter or a battery. On the battery, it's one part that can fail, which is the BMS. We have very good documentation on that. So yes, the battery. On the inverter side, it's got 8 or 9 boards. In theory, it's field serviceable. In practice, we want to get you a refurbished unit. So our key thing is expanding internationally with partners. Even in Puerto Rico, for instance, we set up a repair center that can work on our units. So if you want a full experience there, I mean, we could set you up to work on an inverter in a field, but the reality is, I'm probably betting pretty low on the success of that inverter because of how you torque it, what else you unscrew when you're on the way in there. It's very
Mm-hmm.
hard to get a good field repair on an inverter at this point.
Yep.
We're
And
working
we
on
do
that though. I think we can do better.
And we do have 145 people on the stream right now. So we'd like to say, hey, welcome to the stream if you just got here. If you don't know, there's a link at the top of the chat for the 12K mini split giveaway we're going to be doing tonight, or James is going to be doing since he's the one giving it away. But if you're not in a part of that, 8:45 is the cutoff for that. I think it's already 8:33. So you got a few more minutes. Go ahead and jump on it if you're in this stream. 147 people right now. Welcome to the stream. Put QQQ in the chat if you have a question, and I'll do my best to bring them up. There's a lot of questions, so I'm not going to be able to do them all, but, I'm just catching a few here and there. And Christopher says, will larger batteries be available in the future? They're going to get heavy if you make them much bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we hit 300 pounds. I'm not against a situation in the future where there's an idea of a forklift battery that is just a better bang for buck, but you got to have a forklift to move it, and it's got an access panel. We're not against that. We are playing around with some ideas, but I can't promise we're actually ever going to get there. I mean, a 300-pound has a lot of good things going for it, and the fact that the whole unit can be taken down and replaced and stuff like that. So, but never say never. Never say never.
Mm-hmm. It's like a preloaded box or boss box. I always forget which way it goes.
Yeah, I saw that question earlier. Now I can't find it. But yeah, somebody was asking basically if a boss box will come preloaded, like as a package, and you just ship it.
That's a good question. I think the answer is we're going to sell a kit option that will be pre-commissioned, and which we're not there yet. And then we're going to sell just the naked cabinet. And currently we're selling the naked cabinet, but I'd like to sell a pre-commissioned, fully loaded box box.
Yeah, because man, for installers, can you imagine just being able to just have that thing ready to go and you just drop it off, make your connections? I mean, it would take down a
It'd
lot
be
of
awesome.
time. Really cool. Yeah.
Or to throw in a trailer for
Absolutely.
emergencies. That's what I've been looking at that thing for. Like, if you make a little emergency power trailer, you can go help people out that's within maybe a few hours of you during a storm or something like that. Bring the community some power, just to be able to do the basics, charge their phones and whatever, that kind of stuff. So I think it's pretty cool. Let's see, Adam, you've been a little quiet. I'm sure you got some questions. What you got for us? I see you over there.
Well, I'm busy trying to not cough on the microphone and everything. So I'm gonna let you guys take the questions from those in the chat.
All right.
Because I'm constantly having to mute this thing.
So, James, I saw someone ask a similar question, not quite like this, but have you guys considered rolling out a franchise like retail store in other locations? So, because man, like,
yeah,
you guys are close enough to me where I can drive to you, but it's not
East
something
Coast.
I'm gonna do if I. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, like,
That's
it
right.
was so great to have you guys a little more distributed.
So look, we want to get DIY components and people that can walk people through how to do projects in reach of everybody in this country if we can. We're spending a lot of money doing final mile shipping from a single location in Texas. So I think we can already afford to set up a more national play. That's being explored right now. Just because if I can already fund that with a logistics plan, why not? And then from there, there's all kinds of ideas as to how to get in front of the average American. We could partner with hardware stores, we could partner with home improvement stores and get kiosks or stuff like that. So there are ideas. Again, the key thing is what works and what's going to get in front of people and who's going to elevate that brand. I'd love to see a deal from a major home improvement provider. I think we could be very appealing to one of them. So we may be able to make a play for that. Right now, we're just in rapid growth and also dealing with the reshoring aspect on the EG4 hardware.
That'd be great. I mean, yeah, it'd be awesome to go down and see, a 6000 XP or a Grid Boss like at Home Depot or Lowe's. That would be so cool. But it's ridiculous that you can't just go pick up some MC4 connectors. At least not here, not locally. I either drive to you guys or mail it to me.
I've been having the most problems finding like little electrical components and stuff like that lately, trying to do this. If anybody doesn't know, I've been working on this Grid Boss, Flex Boss, 12K outdoor build for a while now. And most of my problem has been finding wire and little connections, like for the neutral, that's a 3-aught and stuff like that. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You can't find that stuff at Home Depot or Lowe's. You got to go to like electrical supply houses or order the stuff online. It'd be nice if there was more, like you said,
Radio Shack
companies that did all that stuff. And I need a Radio Shack, man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I agree. I think that we would have a lot more competition in install if it was easier for people to get into the business. There's a lot of deck builders out there because somebody learned how to build a deck with their dad or somebody, right? And now they're willing to do it. So there's not that amount of access to solar technology, but I think it would change. And I think that any home improvement company that's willing to dive in earlier is going to do incredibly well because we're selling, we're selling independence. It really is. I think Signature's goal is to be the Radio Shack of solar, and I think just prove to the retail industry that you can make money doing it. And golly, if people don't start copying us and trying to compete with us, we might just have to expand or something like that. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, right now you can go to Home Depot or Menards and pick up these little inverter packages. Wouldn't it be kind of neat? Yeah, I'm gonna go and run over to Menards and get my next Flex Boss.
Yeah,
so that I can expand my system.
That would be. It also helps people who feel like they have a system that like their power is dependent on, right? If you can drive and get it versus wait for it to get shipped in, that would be the whole thing. But just it's trying to convince the people. I mean, in my math, You've got 30 million homes in rural areas that are going to have very low to almost no permitting. Just in those 30 million homes, we're going to need to sell about $12,000 of ESS hardware. So that means that we're looking at a $500 billion industry there, right?
Mm.
In terms of batteries that need to be sold over a 20-year period, not to mention solar panels, wiring, disconnects, that kind of stuff. So it's how do you take the signature format and get it out there? And then also, if you can get to suburbia, you get another $500 billion there.
Here's another good question from Off Grid Wannabe. When will EG4 Canada be formed?
So
Hey,
all I'm going to say is
I've heard a lot
wait.
from people in Canada about these. When that stuff goes across the border, man, that stuff is crazy, man. Those prices go up.
Well, EG4 is going to be shipping direct to Canada
Okay.
over the next month, and we will have a new Canadian price list. And I hate to bear the bad news to the Americans here, like all of us, but it will be lower priced in Canada.
Mm.
So big price improvements from last year, and yeah, definitely going directly into the Canadian market. So we've already got some great participants there. Soul 49, Canadian Off Grid, just to name a few, and Cabin Depot, I think, as well. So we're very excited.
That's great.
Yeah, because I've seen a few people getting stuff across there, and they told how much it cost. I was like, wow, that is crazy.
Mm.
But
Well,
that's
just
good.
remember they're telling you in Canadian dollars.
Oh, that's true.
But even after
Which
the
is
conversion, it
68
was still
cents.
high. I think it was like their tax or whatever, like when it crossed the border. That's what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
let's see here.
There you go.
I'm looking for some more questions that's not the same thing. Some of them are the exact same. Some people might have missed it. Somebody was asking again about the Grid Boss and Flex Boss get EMP certified like the 18K. We said that earlier, that basically it's made to the same specs and they're just waiting on the certifications. So you're probably going to be good to go at some point.
Yeah, no, I think that'll be a 1 or 2 month thing. It could be faster, but I got to catch up with my certification team. I know they were working on it a bit ago, but they were waiting for the Flex Boss 18 because we can kind of get it. We can kind of get it co-certified with the 21. You know, it's the same. What what it is the RFI filtering. I think one of our engineers is kind of world renowned for that. He did all the filtering for a bunch of hospitals in India with some really trashy power. So, when he looked at the EMP problem, he's like, this is just a filtering problem. I'm on it. And he got us through. It was like, that's
Nice.
how we made it standard issue.
And another question that I had on my list is, are there any, let me go ahead and pull my paper up here. Are there any regulatory changes on the horizons that might help or hurt DIY solar adoption? There's anything that you might know about that maybe we just don't, because you go to a lot of conferences and meetings,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
No, I think, look, the biggest problem that's going to happen in the future, and the future will come, is that utility companies are going to try to swoop back in when the energy crisis is over. And we are going through an energy crisis right now, and probably will for the next 3 to 5 years at least. When that energy crisis is over, they're going to swoop in like a bad school district trying to prevent parents from moving their kids to a different district. Okay, it's going to be, okay, Adam, yeah, good to hear you make your own power. You still owe us for the power we should have sold you because we have a license from the government as a PUC, public utility company. We're the state-sponsored monopoly, and the old verbiage from 100 years ago was written, in an environment where there wasn't the option of just private property generation. So I think that there will be some power companies, as unpopular as they are, that will be stupid enough to challenge private property rights, and those will be things that we'll have to see. They were ready to do that back in 2019, 2018, and then the EVs and now the AI data centers really brought them to their knees. But when they get a reprieve, I think they will definitely start coming after our rights.
So how long do you think the solar or the energy companies are going to be, I don't know if we call generous enough or dumb enough to continue giving us our free nights plans so we can charge these batteries for free at night and then use them throughout the day?
Yeah,
and
that might go away.
I'm sure it will. I'm enjoying it right now, though.
Eric, you better get some solar panels.
Gotta get some panels.
The last provider I can find that is doing it that hasn't excluded batteries is Direct Energy over in Texas. But Everyone else says if you go into batteries, you're going to get voided and we're going to back charge you. And we can detect if you have batteries. Now, just as a
Oh,
prank, we
Mm.
invented it wouldn't really, I mean, it's not really an invention, but it is a prank. We have a scramble feature on the charge side because we were like, oh yeah, you're going to detect this steady line of charge. Well, we can basically set a random scramble feature where the charge rate is changing every 10, 15 seconds
Yeah.
and moving around.
nice.
And so we
Nice.
might be able to help people try it at their own risk, but we're probably not going to market that.
Control that.
Technically, you're
Yes.
violating your contract if you have batteries and they say you can't have batteries.
Yeah,
That
I didn't
doesn't
see
mean there aren't
anything
going to
about
be,
batteries on my contract, so maybe they're
but there will
getting
be
wiser to
battery focused time of use people. Okay, so I think that things won't be as sweet as free nights. But
that.
what it will look like, for instance, in the Texas grid, just the transmission to my house is 5 cents. Okay, they have to pay on for that. Right now, they're rebating that to Encore to give me free nights. Okay, so they're losing money on all the power they give me at night. Right. So with your battery provider, what they're going to say is, look, we know we're not going to win by ripping you off on the daytime, and we know that we're going to have to pay transmission for you. So you've got a price that's got a base of 6 cents delivered, and it goes all the way up to 20 instead of 0 to 30. Right.
Hmm.
And then you might be able to, yeah, the trap may be you could get 6 cent power instead of the average 14 in the state, right?
Right.
And so that's some ROI. I think the other thing they want to do instead is not really buy your export, but sign you up for a VPP program. They won't want more of the solar guys to go VPP, and so that's a coming thing. And it just depends on
Okay, so what
the
is that?
complexity of the co-ops.
VPP? I'm not sure what that is.
Virtual power plant.
Okay.
So with that, instead of you charging cheap and then using expensive, which is your free nights game, what you're going to do is you're going to charge cheap, maybe from your own solar or at night, and then you're going to deliberately export onto the grid when the grid's at the most expensive period by a signal that the power company sends you.
Mm-hmm.
That will help them cut their peak and their overall cost of energy. In exchange, they might tell you, hey, for every 16 kilowatt hours that you have, we'll give you $400 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so now here's what, $60, $70 a month that you're getting to for keeping your battery connected. So the idea with solar is it could be like the icing on the cake. But the VPP aspect could be the icing on the cake. But I would say that the value of moving energy from a cheap period of the day to a more expensive period of the day mathematically will have to drop a lot. As battery prices drop, we saw this with grid tie solar. It's like back when grid tie solar was exciting. It was like hook up your solar to the grid. The grid wants it. It's expensive. Well, everyone did, and then the power companies bought a bunch of solar farms for super cheap, and now all that energy is worthless, right? It's no longer, we don't need any more export guys, right? So the same problem is going to occur with batteries, and that is right now it'll be, is a huge ROI for moving power from cheap to expensive periods of time. But ultimately, power companies are going to deploy container batteries for less than half the cost that any of us can touch in terms of total installed cost, and they're going to do the job twice as well, and they're going to cut the value of what you're doing. And I think it's straight economics. So have fun while you can. It's kind of the approach. And if you like I got a 3-year contract and my batteries will pay for themselves in those 3 years. So I don't care.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
but I think the long-term position will be what solar plus storage does is it makes it where you never use that power. Right? And so that takes the chess pieces off the board entirely, which gives you the full retail rate of the energy. And then if the power company wants to play nice and rent your battery bank to solve peak issues, you could get additional return that way.
Mm-hmm. Right. And you're saying that's up until they start saying, well, hey, we had a contract with the state that said we were going to get to sell this much energy, so we're going to back charge all these people for not buying our energy.
And that's going to be wildly unpopular, but I think they will try to do it regulatorily. They can't do it legislatively, but they might try to do something. You might see regulatory fights where they actually go and try to take people's rights that way, and then try to demonize people that make their own power. I think that that's the whole issue, which is why I think it's really important in the next 5 years that more people than ever before make their own power. We need millions of homes that are part of this DIY solar movement, part of the solar plus storage movement, that see it as a basic right to make your own
Yeah.
power. Because then very quickly, as as EVs become the most cheap and cost effective cars in the United States, it'll be a make your own fuel aspect as well. So
and North
that's all
Carolina's
coming.
already getting me for that. They charging me because I got an EV, so my taxes are higher. We got property tax
Really?
on vehicles here, and so all my EVs is always higher. It's just because they can't get you with the gas. They're gonna get your money one way or the other. And it looks like it's about
Yeah.
8:50, so we got 171 people on the
Man.
stream. So we'd like to thank everybody that's joined us tonight, of course, bringing in some good questions for James, Eric, Adam, and myself. And we're going to be doing this giveaway here very, very shortly. It's already past the time to sign up, unless Eric left it on longer than I thought. But
Nope.
it should have ended at 8:45. And we definitely appreciate James for giving away the 12K and helping us out with this stream. And do you guys, Eric, want to go ahead and do that? Or you want to answer a couple more questions while you set that up? What you want to do?
Yeah, give me just a second. Y'all talk through some
All right.
some stuff.
I got a couple more questions. Mike, high voltage. Are you going to step up selection of high voltage inverters and batteries?
Yeah, so it's hard to build high voltage residential batteries because the most cost effective battery cells that you can actually compete on with are like 314 amp hours or stuff. Actually, the LG cell we're looking at is 170 amp hour. So there may be an opportunity for a medium voltage 100-volt offering. I'm actually very excited about that. I'll go ahead and leak that. We're looking at an LG solution. It'll be a 100-volt battery based on their cells. That'll be our pack. And I think we might look at a 100-volt version, the flex block that's fully compatible with the 48-volt versions. So that's what we're excited about in the future. But I think going past that, getting to the 400-volt level, people are just using buck boosters. It's the same thing. You put the buck booster in the inverter, you put the buck booster in the battery. It doesn't really make any difference. You got to be able to buy cost-effective cells. So there aren't a bunch of really cost-effective 40 amp hour cells out there for us to make super high voltage batteries on. That being said, will our commercial solutions be very high voltage? Absolutely, and they'll be very, very heavy, and you'll need a forklift to move them into place.
And we got another question. James, do you see battery densities getting to in the next 5 years? I guess you see that getting better.
Huge wild card, guys. Great question. The real question is going to be, China's just doubled down on sodium ion, and that is less dense, but a heck of a lot cheaper. So, and it's a little heavier per kilowatt hour, whatever. But it'll be a big bifurcation in the industry towards cheaper, heavier stationary batteries, and then more expensive, high density EV batteries. And I think the opportunity that we're hearing is like we might be able to see a battery at 40% less cost in 5 years. I think that would be amazing. Obviously, I think we're living in a world today where I think our numbers are very strong and exciting, and worth adopting immediately. But at the same time, sodium may intersect. We don't know, but I think we're getting close. We're going to be on theoretical. A lot of these technologies we hear about are like some idiot wrote something in a magazine. Sorry about putting it that way, but that's what happens. And then no one ever industrializes it. We will see industrialized sodium, and we will be able to see a competitive benchmark in about a year or two, I think, and we'll see if that is worth adopting. Remember, it takes a year for us to build a battery anyway.
Yeah, you got to think 20 years ago, 30 years ago, the things we see right now, people would have never believed it. My car driving me around is the craziest thing ever. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. I'm telling you, it's not to the point where I would trust it like all the time because it's not perfect, but it is very, very good so far. And I'm just telling you, it's like a spaceship. It's like I'm in a spaceship. It's crazy, man. That's what I think of when I'm in this thing. I'm like, this is like sci-fi from when I was a kid. So I think it's awesome. And I just think technology is getting better and better. And it's going to happen with solar. It's going to happen with everything. It's going to get better.
That's the excitement that we're all talking about here. I mean, I think we're really in the middle of the early stages of a new computer revolution, right? I think the decentralization of a centralized asset with rapidly progressing technology, that's the dream here. And the cool thing is we're literally attacking power companies doing so. Isn't that awesome? Of all the things you can attack, you can attack, cushy government bureaucracies would be one of them.
The most powerful people in North Carolina, electric company, Duke Energy is probably the most powerful company in North Carolina. They
Well, and
control
that's the thing is that
everything.
people like you will keep them honest, and that's the whole thing. We aren't necessarily trying to just to see, to follow the power grid or any of that stuff, but we do want to see a world where they realize that if they don't start dropping the price of electricity, people like Rodney are going to leave. And that's
Mhm.
the real problem. Now they've got to innovate. They got to buy these container batteries while you're out putting your little batteries on the side of the wall. They got to start actually focusing on fixing these issues so they're not coming with the idea of offering Eric free nights. They've already flattened their curve and did what Eric is doing for them with his battery bank, right? So this is why we live in a world where power companies feel like they have a right to continue raising our power prices.
And my power rates have went up, I think, like 3 times in the last probably 2 years or something. It is crazy.
You
I'm
got
like, what is
to.
going on here?
Mhm.
But it's getting
They
pretty
think you
late in the
can't go
stream.
anywhere.
I don't want to keep rolling. We're gonna go
Yeah.
ahead and let Eric do this giveaway before we forget about it, like we
Yeah.
always do.
So before we do that, because the moment we do, if history serves, we're gonna lose about 50% of you guys watching because you'll be like, it wasn't me. Now I gotta go do my chores or whatever. So James, anything that you want people to know before we kind of wrap that part up, and just while we got everybody's attention?
Well, I think I'm going to throw one other thing out there on this coming, tax fight. Actually, I think it's really important that we understand the residential tax credit is not a subsidy. It's the only thing that was in the IRA that's not a subsidy. It's a correction on the tax code. So I just want to do that math really briefly. So if you think about a homeowner that's going to spend, I'm going to use round numbers here, $30,000 on an installed system, which you can spend less if you do DIY to make that $30,000 to spend the $30,000, they had to probably earn 40,000, pay income tax worth 25%, let's say, of $10,000, get the 30,000, and go buy the stuff and hire the people, and then they get a $9,000 tax credit back. But what's really going on here is the fact that the homeowner is having to buy a generation asset when their power company and the business down the street gets to buy it with pre-tax money. They have to use post-tax money. So when we talk about the coming conversation, I want homeowners in this conversation to understand that they really they are not getting a subsidy from the government when you get that 30% tax credit. What you have is basically like spending $10 at the hardware store, going back and asking for a return that you're justly, and them saying, well, here's a $9 store credit card. That's basically what
Mhm.
the solar tax credit is for residential. I don't think any of the other tax credits that are in the Green New Deal, which are the other 98%, 96% of the money, I don't think any of them have any free-market justification. It's outright subsidization. But I think that this is one that under no circumstances, number one, we should stop calling it a subsidy. Number two, under no circumstances should we see the tax code move away from homeowner fairness and an even playing field in competition in the space. And I think that's just going to be relevant in the coming weeks. I apologize if that's a little bit off the main flow here, but I think it's directly relevant to everybody who's done
I think
a
that
solar
was
system.
brilliant, and I've never considered it that way. And my next follow-up question to it, since we're already at overtime, is do any of your companies employ lobbyists that are going to fix this, or what do we do?
Well, I think we do have some resources that we started bringing to bear in state and federal governments, and I've been personally in DC and in other areas actually trying to start building a place for solar on the right, because I think that it's really important that left or right, solar is all residential and do-it-yourself solar always wins, and I don't think that we should be strapped to the solar farm lobby, the green lobby, the save the planet lobby. I think we're a right to generate group. And yeah, some people are going to count carbon and say we're also helping the planet. But I think we can get where we want to go as long as we just get equal taxation with power companies, equal sales taxation, and we also get maintain our private property rights on generation.
Very
Well,
good.
I
Thank
definitely
you.
appreciate a business owner that kind of sounds just like me in regards to all this deregulation and stuff. A lot of times when people's small business grows enough, they kind of, forget about us little people. But I definitely appreciate it. I like what you're saying. And Eric, I'll let you go ahead and do this giveaway. I know I can't keep talking.
Yeah,
James,
because
you got to
James has
jump
to
on
get
a
on his
plane in
flight.
12 minutes.
No, it closes in 18 minutes, so we're good.
Okay, all right. So I just ran, and so everybody knows, I push a button and it runs through and it randomly selects somebody based off y'all's entries, and the winner is Jeremy Ashford.
Okay.
I don't have anything ready.
Congratulations.
I guess I
so
should
I
have
need
had
to
something
get-
ready. Like I think
It's not
I
making
got
the
a,
noise
Jeremy,
on my
I
side.
got a thumbs up. That's it.
Okay, Jeremy, I need to make it. I need to make a direct appeal here. When you get your unit, get it up and running, and can you please join our Facebook group and post a review of how it went, and give us a before and after, kind of like a July and August bill or a June and July bill. I don't know how long it'll take to do it, but share how this goes, and if there's any way to just open up the conversation to people that they can do something about that power bill. Yeah, don't keep it to
So
yourself.
cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And James, we'll get his email address and all that over to you, and we'll figure out whatever needs to happen on the back end. So
Logistics, yeah.
All right.
Well,
we
thank you guys.
appreciate.
I'm gonna go catch this plane.
All right,
Thank
we
you so
appreciate
much,
James
Thanks,
being
James.
here.
Appreciate
So
it.
everybody say goodbye in the chat to him, and I guess we're going to go ahead and end the
Safe
stream
flight.
there. Hey, and go ahead, and I'm gonna go ahead and put our links in the chat for anybody that's looking to go buy something. Use our affiliate links. You definitely help support me, Eric, and Adam. And James is gonna thank you as well because you're still supporting him as well. We'll see you guys later.
See you
Thanks.
guys.
Thanks.